What if the greatest threat to your calling isn't fear, but pride? What if the real storm isn't the one outside your boat, but the one inside your heart? This isn't just a story about a man swallowed by a fish. It's about a man swallowed by his own bitterness. Before the storm, before the fish, before the city was spared, there was a voice, and a man who said no. This is the story of Jonah, the prophet who ran, the God who pursued, and the mercy that wouldn't give up. Before we dive into this powerful story, please do us a quick favor. Hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and share this story with someone who needs encouragement today. Now that you've done that, let's begin the story of Jonah the prophet who ran from God. And what happened next? The story begins not in thunder, not in fire, but in a whisper from heaven. God speaks. Nineveh, the capital of Assyria, a city known for cruelty, violence, and idolatry. Jonah knew their history. He knew what they did to Israel's people. To go there was unthinkable, but God said go. Jonah said no. He fled to Joppa, a seaport city bustling with trade, noise, and the smell of salt and spice. There, Jonah found a ship headed for Tarshish, the edge of the known world. How do you run from the God who made the sea? Jonah, exhausted from defiance, paid the fare and sank into the belly of the ship. Maybe, just maybe, if he ran far enough, God would forget. But heaven never forgets. As Jonah slept below deck, the sky turned steel gray. The waves grew teeth, and God hurled a storm upon the sea. Seasoned sailors, hardened by storms, panicked. They cried to their God. They tossed cargo overboard. They wept, pleaded, and prepared to die. Where was Jonah? Below deck, sleeping. The captain, drenched and desperate, shook him awake. But Jonah knew. This was no ordinary storm. He bore the guilt like wet chains on his soul. They cast lots, and the lot fell on him. Jonah confessed. Terror, reverence, confusion. The sailors asked what to do. Jonah whispered, "Throw me into the sea." At first they refused, but the waves roared louder. And finally they lifted Jonah and hurled him into the sea. Silence. The men fell to their knees. They had met the true God. But Jonah was gone, swallowed by waves and justice. But the story doesn't end in drowning. God had prepared something strange and merciful. In the belly of the beast, surrounded by darkness, digestive fluids, and despair, Jonah sat alone. He could not run now. No ship, no sailors, no sunlight. Only silence and God. And there in the stomach of a fish, Jonah prayed. He remembered what he once knew. He repented. He surrendered. This was not just repentance, it was surrender. And then the fish obeyed what the prophet had not. It released him. Jonah, soaked and humbled, lay on dry land, alive. Jonah stood on the shore, soaked in salt, seaweed, and mercy, and then came the same voice again. This time Jonah arose, not in rebellion, but in reluctant obedience. He entered Nineveh, a city of walls, towers, and people, and he preached a simple message, no miracles, no signs, and yet the people heard. The city paused. The word spread. When the king heard, he stood, tore off his royal robes, covered himself in sackcloth, and issued a decree. What prophet in Israel had seen a nation turn so quickly? And God relented. A city was saved. Heaven rejoiced. But Jonah, he sulked. "I knew you would do this. You're gracious, merciful, slow to anger. I'd rather die." It's one thing to know God's heart. It's another to share it. Is it right for you to be angry? Jonah gave no answer. Instead, he left the city, built a shelter, and watched, still hoping for fire. As Jonah sat beneath the scorching sun, God gave him shade. A plant, grown overnight, comforted his anger. Jonah was grateful, not for mercy, but for comfort. Then God sent a worm. The plant died. Then came scorching wind, blistering sun, and Jonah was angry again. "It is better for me to die than to live." God asked again, "Is it right for you to be angry about the plant?" "Yes." Angry enough to die. Then God delivered the final lesson. "You pity the plant which you didn't create, and yet should I not pity Nineveh, a city of 120,000 people who cannot tell their right hand from their left?" God's heart was on the people, on the children, on the animals, on the lost. But Jonah couldn't see past his prejudice. The book ends without Jonah's reply. It leaves us with questions. Would you rather see your enemies burn than be saved? Would you rather die in comfort than live with compassion? Jonah ran from a city, but the real journey was into his own heart. Sometimes God sends storms, not to destroy us, but to save us. Sometimes the belly of a fish is grace in disguise, and sometimes the hardest person to forgive is the one staring back in the mirror. Salvation is of the Lord. And that salvation, it's not just for the righteous. It's for Nineveh. It's for Jonah. It's for you. If this story moved you, let us know in the comments. We would love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more life-changing Bible stories just like this one. Until next time, stay inspired and stay blessed. Bye.